Talking tactics today, catching up with Chris Voak, as you can clearly see by his name tag underneath. And if you had seen the rehearsals to this, you would be very, very concerned, I must say. Chris, firstly, thank you very much for joining Campbell's Comments, mate, and giving up a little bit of your Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you called me, because I think I would have blown out the max on my my monthly limit for the call cost. Basically, you being in Victoria as well, that is an international country. So it's probably like international ball race. I think a hard border in WA.
I think I was getting COVID encrypted there too just before. I'm not sure exactly what was going on, but everything seems good. Now, if Oakie's phone does drop out, his audio will continue. We've worked that much out, so we will keep going with that. Social media, mate, it's a powerful tool. I think what Rawa do over there, I think they've got to be commended for what they do with the parade rings, pre-race and the likes. Firstly, how do the drivers like that? Like, how do you guys enjoy that part of it?
Yeah, it's part of the job, it's entertainment, and if you can make it's good information but entertaining. It gives people an insight into a race, and I don't have a problem with it. If it can make us more money, I'm all for it.
Do you get guarded about what you say?
Yeah, to a point. Yeah, I mean, obviously you can't say nothing too bad to bring the industry in any disrepute or things like that, or you could get slapped on the wrist. But it's basically just polite, be polite, and that you can get away with a lot of stuff, but just within reason.
You drive quite a few horses. There's a couple of ways I want to go about this, and ask you. But at the end of the day, you had a protest the other day come up, and I've got the race on underneath you, just playing underneath you, which is just not ideal, but that's okay. So you drove a horse for a good mate of mine, and yours, and in Merv Butterworth, and a horse called Stroke of Luck, who actually, when we went over there to Perth earlier on for the Inter-Dominion, he went over there for that period of time. But he's a horse trained by Ross Oliveri. Pretty stock standard race this to watch. For participants at home, when I do Talking Tactics, I try to find little things that happen, little intricacies and the likes. Effectively, you settled 1-1, ended up being 1-2 in the race, pulled out 3 deep and won the race. But afterwards, what transpired, was probably set a little bit of the Twitter world off. I think when I last looked, it had well over 1,000 views on the protest hearing and the likes. But what I was more taken by was the way that you handled yourself and conducted yourself in that protest. Firstly, back to the start of it, Stroke of Luck. I'm not sure you've had him all that long over there, but he's a lovely little horse. Like, he went over there through the Inter-Dominion Carnival with Grant and Kerrin. So, I mean, he's a lovely little horse in his own right, isn't he?
Yeah, and he did well. He actually, I know he didn't make the final of the Inters and that, but there was a couple of runs where he sat in the breeze and run second to El Jacko, and he went on to do some good things in Free For All Company and won I think he won a Pinjo Cup and stuff. So he performed really well. And obviously, there's probably a little bit stronger company with it in Victoria for him, and he got to a point where he was, I think, racing as good as he could. Like, his sectional times were brilliant, but he just wasn't winning. It was just unfortunate how it was. And then with our handicapping system here, he fitted in really well to it, where basically he could drop back to sort of an M2, M3 horse and then try and win his races back to free for all. And it saw a turnaround in his form. And, I mean, he won again on Friday, but it was a tier below your open class horses, which I think suits him.
Yeah, and that's sort of where he's at, but he's a lovely horse. He was actually bred in Bendigo, been to New Zealand, come back, raced in Victoria, gone back to New Zealand. He's been everywhere, this horse, that's for sure.
Got a good passport.
Better one than me, although I have been to Perth, so it's not too bad. Actually, one thing I want to ask just about, I think it's here because we've still got another lap to go. Yourself and Chris Lewis, do you get along?
Yeah, really good. He's a terrific guy. You want to be a freelance rangeman, you want to pay attention to him. He
just was playing a little bit of love music on your helmet with a lap to go. I noticed a couple of times. I thought either he's having a joke with you or he was just keeping you awake.
Yeah, maybe he was tapping on the helmet to say, "Get going, you fool! You need to move here." Who knows?
You're both on stable, mates. Anyway, so as I said, just coming here now, you're learning for home. You run past a horse in the death, which is the one that ends up protesting, and you get the chocolates. Then there's a protest hearing, and anyone that wants to watch it, I'll put a link to it into the Rawa Twitter page. Go to the Rawa Twitter page and all the rest. But what I wanted to talk about, so people can get an understanding, a lot of people don't understand what happens in a protest and how it goes. Firstly, were you shocked when you were told about the protest?
Yeah, well, for the protest, yes. I didn't. For me, I didn't believe there was ground for the protest, and because obviously in a situation like this, the driver of Patrick the Piranha wished to hold up the all clear, so we could view the film in the run to the finish and then ascertain whether he had grounds for protest. So he did that and then lodged the protest. So obviously at that point I hadn't had a chance to view the run to the finish and to see what the whip action looked like, or the beaten margins and things like that. But live, I didn't think my whip use was that extravagant or that bad. I certainly didn't believe it was a factor in costing Patrick the Piranha the race, that's for sure. So I was shocked in that regard. So, but that being said, you had to deal with the task at hand, and there was a protest lodged. So we went on from there.
There's certain ways you've got to conduct yourself with stewards and the likes, and there's a few things that I actually I have written down, but there's a process that goes through him because is it Colin Brown? I know his surname's Brown, but he lodged the protest, so he gets to speak first. You got yourself a little bit agitated at one of the things he said, but then it was sort of like you readdressed everything, if that makes sense, and slowly calmed down and started thinking about your answers. Can you explain the emotion when you get in there and a bloke's accusing you of something, that you're clearly comfortable you haven't done and it hasn't cost his horse the race? How do you check your emotion?
Well, first, look, I have Colin Brown in regard to Chris Lewis. Like, I know a lot of people, some people may not, but I think he's a legend. A legend Reinsman over here, in my opinion. He's done his whole life, and he's a hard worker. I actually relate more to my career to him if there was a driver I could relate to. So it was sort of like how do you put it? It was like your dad, by him protesting. It was like that your dad sort of telling you off, and I sort of reacted like a spoiled brat. To be honest, I didn't conduct myself properly. I lost my cool, which generally in a steward, whether Colin intentionally did it to throw me off, who knows? But it threw me off a little, and then I had to compose myself, and that's why you saw my behaviour was not. I'm a lot better. I'm normally better than that. Although I didn't allow it to take control of the protest, I gathered yourself and made sure we won the protest first, and certainly my emotions didn't cost me that, but. It resulted, I think, in a touch of poor conduct. So, I'll speak to Brownie tomorrow and apologise to him, because I really do hold him in high regard and high respect.
It was one of the things I wanted to point out, because that initial outburst, and you directed that at him. Straight after that, though, you showed respect not only for Colin, but also to the stewards, because anyone that go back and watch that video, your body language was directed straight at the chair steward. You didn't look at Colin, you actually conducted yourself. The questions were asked through the steward, you answered the questions through the steward, which is the manner in which it should be done. And clearly you did it in that manner. And that's something that people have to be aware of, isn't it? If you go and fight the man, even though you might be the winner and you might rightfully be the winner, if you go and fight the man or upset the stewards as well, that can work against you in a negative way.
Yeah, absolutely. However, the stewards, they understand the passion and raw emotion you got involved in this sport. So they do put up with a fair bit with us, and I guess that this protest was the definition of that. So obviously you do got to go through the chair and you show respect, and they're respectful back to you, and it's just generally be respectful, and that's how you treat others is how you get treated. But in this circumstance of the protest, I think it was handled reasonably well, and there was no real no one really got too much of a telling off from the stewards or anything like that, even though I think it was the worst way I could have handled the protest, to be honest. My behaviour.
It's funny because I reckon you handle it well, and I know a lot of other people said you handled it very well. A good mate of mine, Brendan Baker, he wanted you as his divorce lawyer. He thought you should have handled a couple of his divorce case. He's been married 4 times. Don't worry about that. So
yeah, well, I could save him some trouble there. If he's been divorced 4 times, you got to ask yourself who's the problem there.
he'll watch this.
1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe it wasn't those 4.
He's only been divorced 3 times. He's still married this last one. We don't want to moz him yet, Voakey. All right.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, she might be starting to get cold feet.
Chelsea's a beautiful lady. Don't you worry about that. Driving at Gloucester Park. So we drive here in Victoria, and all of our tracks, apart from Mildura, are big tracks. Now, Echuca as well is probably a little bit tight. Driving at Gloucester Park, when I went over there for the Inter-Dominion, mate, it's like a coliseum. And until you actually go there and see it, I know Sean McNulty posted the other day that it's one of the great spectacle races to go to. And it is. I don't know whether you guys know exactly what you got there, but you guys have that track. Then you have Pinjarra, Bunbury, and these other tracks. Do you have to actually have a different mindset when you go to drive at Gloucester Park to drive at other tracks?
I think so, yeah. It's something I've learned. I've had to learn the hard way over, especially I think the last 2 seasons I've started to get a handle around the change of tactics. Because Gloucester Park being a half-mile track, yeah, it's you can go harder, you can work your main opposition over harder on the track with their wide and stuff like that. And Pinjarra is probably, you've had to adapt to more of the Victorian style way of racing, where you've got to be a bit more patient and you just can't do what you can do at Gloucester Park on those 1,000-metre tracks or bigger. And I think it helps your driving. I think it definitely does. It makes you better, but I don't know, maybe I'm a bit of a slow learner. It takes me time to pick it up, but it's taken me a bit of time to adjust to, position where you want to be on the track and things like that. So, definitely you have to apply yourself differently on tracks, in my opinion. Unless you've got the best horse on it by a mile, and then that way you just got to be a bad driver if it gets beat.
Well, I think that's one of the big things that people probably don't factor in when we say about Mildura and tracks like that where we can have tight racing. They have the Mildura Cup up there, but even that, they only have limited amount of free-for-all class horses, if you like, whereas you guys, you're racing sensational. You've got high-quality horses racing week in, week out all the time on that track. So that's a part I think that I suppose highlights the difference in how that track actually reacts and possibly plays. What's the different set? So when you go to Bunbury and Pinjarra, what's your different mindset when you go to those tracks?
Well, pace. I just drive primarily always on pace. If you've got a horse that can make his own luck, it's just so pace dependent. You basically got your head's got to be a stopwatch, and if you can get him into the race at the right time when the pace is right, without spending hardly any petrol, you've got the most power for the last 300 or 400 to come home. Where Gloucester Park, you really got to. If you can afford to be up there, you'd rather be up there with 800 to go, because it's just too hard if they're running a pair of 28s or 27s off the front. It's just you're going around 2 short bends. I don't know. It's hard to explain, to be honest. It's just experience is how you picked it up, I think, and patience. You've got to be patient on the bigger track for sure. Right.
That's enough of the driving tactics. Where did you start? Or how did you start in the industry?
Mum and Dad have had horses ever since I was a kid, just on a hobby level, and I actually never really I'd never really wanted to get into it. I didn't think there was a career in it for me. It was always a bit of a hard slog. So I went to uni, and I didn't like that. I didn't think school was for me.
I was going to say.
Then I went and got Yeah, I did that. I just didn't like the whole vibe. It was too hippie for me. It was weird. I'd rather get out and work my hands. And you had to be self-motivated to study. Like, stuff, not for me. So I went and did it. My dad said, well, you've got to do something, you've got to get a job. So I went and did an electrical apprenticeship, and then we had a downturn in business and that, and I started to get into the trots through that time. So I was taking Mondays off, having the odd drive, and then the guy I was working for said, well, you either want to be a Sparky or you're going to do horses. And at the same time, one of my other friends one of my good mates started up an electrical business. And he said, look, I'll give you 3 days and we'll write your apprenticeship off. And you can do your horses at will. And I said, oh, we'll give that a go. And so then Dad said, oh, you might be able to make a bit extra cash driving. And so I tried that, and then I really heckled Ross Oliveri, the last 10 years I've been with him, it's taken off, and I've had a lot of good people help me along the way. So that's, basically our horse racing started. And then I started making more money doing horse racing than I did electrical. So I said, stuff electrical, I'm going to do horses.
So you work for
Ross. Here we are.
You work for Ross in the mornings?
No, I'm only track work. I've only ever done track work for him. I've never worked. He said early days when, and he had another good owner at the time, Denise Trobin. They were under the theory that if you wanted to be a driver, it's not that I didn't want to work for him, but he didn't really want me working for him if I was going to try and be a rangeman, because his theory was you become part of the furniture, and I don't know, that was just what he said. You become part of the furniture and you're overlooked. And so I just focused on doing the hopper work and track work with him. And maybe I'm obviously very lucky, but I think you just got to make the most of the opportunities when they come.
Yep.
And I think I've done pretty good at doing that. And here we are. Who knows how long it will last for? But I hope a lot longer.
Well, you got a bit of a cult following. Like a lot of people enjoy when you are driving horses and watch them when you're in them. Why do they call you the Voak train? Just out of curiosity.
Ricky Bell, the commentator, started that. And Ricky's a unique guy. He's a really unique sort of character. Bit different. He had a couple of mates that always said, whatever, through this period of time years ago, said, oh, you got to back Chris Voak. He's a long price winner. So long story short, one of his mates backed some horse I won on it, whatever, and said, oh, the Voak train keeps rolling along. And so Richie said, what do you call that one? He says, oh, he's the money train, like the Voak train. You can get on board. So then Richie used it in one of his calls, and then a couple of trainers started screaming, like they were going, toot, toot, when the horses won, and then it was some guy in Bali. I was down in the streets of Bali a couple of years back, and these lunatic young guys started going toot toot. They must have followed the trot. So embarrassing. I thought they were going to try and fight me or something, Even when I went on holidays up to Exmouth earlier, I went to a pub and this real bogan-looking bloke comes up to me red light. He looked like a pretty strong-looking guy. I was sitting there with my missus having a beer and just quietly, and he goes, "You're the man in the pink cart they call the Voak train." And I was, didn't know whether there's light in that. I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, yeah, that's all right. And he said to me, he goes, you've cost me a few chips over the years, son. And I was like, oh, shit, He goes, but you've won me plenty too. And he bought me a beer, so it was good. Could have gone one or two ways. Could have got broken snout or a free beer. Glad I got the beer.
I was going to say, a little yapper like you'd never be worried about getting a broken snout. Don't
worry. It's been done a few times.
Oh, God, no doubt. And it'll probably get done again. I got a heap of questions. Don't you worry.
I got out by a girl once. She broke me snout. I like fighting and doing Muay Thai and stuff. And so I fought this young 14-year-old girl. So this was only about 5 years ago. And so I was going easy on her out of nowhere, mate. Just bang, kicked me straight to the head. Popped my nose so bad. I had to call the white flag,
So this was an organised fight,
though? Didn't see it coming. It's just flat.
But this was
just in the gym. We fight some young kids. Because I'm a bit heavier, then you fight the young kids that are going to fight and go like they'll do it like amateur. And so I was just with this young girl. Oh, his name was just quick, real good too. Unreal.
I just wanted to clarify that part because I'm thinking people are going to think he's fighting 14-year-olds. What sort of weirdo is he?
He was. 14-year-old girl. I was 26, and I was going easy. And she didn't go so easy.
Right, back to the pink cart. We're going backwards and forwards. We'll go everywhere. I said to my daughter, 14-year-old daughter, actually, the other day.
What do you reckon? Is it pretty straight? It's pretty crooked, eh? Looks like a twisty.
This conversation was going to go anywhere. Anyone that's watching this, just sit back. It's not finished. It's a long way off finish, I would say. The pink cart.
I'm going to go to the pub at 12:30, so can't go that long.
Oh, you got another hour. My 14-year-old daughter, I was saying something with you were driving a horse the other day, and I said to my daughter, I said, Voakie's there in the pink cart. Her answer back was, why would a grown man drive in a pink cart? And I said, well, he's even worse than that. I said, he puts his pink cart on the top of a black car that's got black tinted windows and he drives it through the streets of Gloucester Park. Needless to say that she thinks you're a very strange man. What is with the pink cart?
Well, I don't know why. I sort of had pink in my helmet and that, and I thought to myself, these young guys are getting fluorescent carts done. And I thought, geez, that looks really cool. And so they had yellow, orange, red, or whatever. And I thought, no, they don't have pink, and I've got a bit of pink. That might look pretty cool, you know. And so the guy said to me, he goes, oh, geez, this is going to be very bright when it gets done. I said, no, it's all right. I thought, we'll go with it. And then when I picked it up, I was like, oh, my God. And my dad said, Jesus, you want to paint that? He said, you want to get rid of that and paint it black. You know, you look bloody stupid. So then I drove the treble my first night in it. So it was my lucky card. And then it just marketed well.
Yep.
And yeah, there you go. That's how it was. And now it's stuck, and I really haven't changed it because it's become a bit of a trademark.
Have you still got the black Chrysler with the tinted windows and you put it up on top?
No. I had to get something more practical. It was a bit. I mean, I tell you why I got rid of the Chrysler, because I had the cart on the back, like behind the boot. Like that's how I had it set up.
Yep. And
when we're driving down the freeway, we were going up one day. There was a bit of traffic, and there were these Asians, and they were real close behind me. And I thought they were going to rear end me, but they were taking photos of the cart on the back of the car. And I said to my missus, I said, you know what? I can see myself getting rear-ended by one of these buggers one day. I better swap it in for a ute, you know. They're like, oh, very nice, you know.
anyone that's not sure, he used to have the Dead Set Mafia car, and he had this pink sulky sitting up on top of it. No wonder he was getting photos taken. So
I actually, believe it or not, this is a real. I drove an owner from the casino, from the Crown Towers all the way around there, and he sat on the back of the cart while I was driving into the valet of the Crown Metropole there. He sat on the cart while it was on the back. You thinking, what a mad bugger, eh? No helmet.
No seatbelt.
Smoking a cigarette. Unbelievable.
Smoking a cigarette.
The valet didn't know what to do, the poor bugger. He really, you know. How's that for something a bit mad?
Yeah, you are a quiet man. Golf? Are we still golfing?
Yeah. It started making me a bit angry, so I haven't played for about a month because it's normally golf's a funny game. If you're real calm and going well, it's a great game. But if you're doing it, and I got a bit angry, and I just started. I had good clubs and I broke one, so I've just given myself a time out off of that for a month.
Have you were you letting the boss win every now and then, Ross? Were you letting him have the odd win? I know that you're fairly good on the old sledging.
He doesn't play with me anymore. Yeah, no, he doesn't play with me. He was sort of, I guess, he was like, a Fremantle Cup winner, and now he's in the claimers, so he doesn't really, he's sort of, yeah, he just sticks with the vets. And then I pump the ball like 180 metres, 200 metres further than he can. That's what happens with you, I tell him.
Yeah, you're not bad. Mate, you got a good association with Merv Butterworth. You get on very, very well with him, and you can be a bit of a character, but I know you also take his drives pretty seriously when you're driving for him. But it's a good relationship. Both yourself, Ross, and even Chris Lewis have all struck up with Merv, and he continues to give you nice horses to cart around over in Western Australia, doesn't he?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I started, like I said, a decade ago with Ross, and obviously Chris, he was the number one man for Ross and for a lot of years, and I just sat second string to him, and over time, as we've progressed, I've been able to gain some of those drives as first chance, and I've been very fortunate that, Merv's given me opportunity to drive them, and Ross has supported me, and that's where I think, I have a lot of respect for Chris Lewis, he doesn't, I've been given a lot of his opportunity over the past 3 to 4 years, and he's a terrific gentleman. Chris hasn't, to my knowledge, anything, never whinged to me about it or anything like that, and he's a proper professional. That's who you should always strive to be. I think, is someone like him. So I'm very lucky. I am. Yeah.
You are, and like you have. I mean, we've had a bit of a joke. You don't take everything real serious, but you seem to take your driving serious out there. You seem to have a nice knack with horses that may suit, even New South Wales, the way you let them run on, as Lockie McIntosh will say, long lines. You don't hold them up too much and all the rest. Have you got any ambitions to travel either overseas or New South Wales, Victoria, anything like that, or you're happy in Western Australia?
Well, it's taken me a bit of time to build or establish myself how I have here, and obviously we've got commitments and mortgages and stuff. But I mean, I always would have loved to have gone to America or to New York and had a or New Jersey and just had a little bit of a drive over there. But I like Sydney racing. I've done pretty well over there. I found Victoria Sydney was easier to adjust to, the WA style of racing. Melbourne is a little bit different, and it'd take me. I think that'd take me a little bit extra to adjust to that style of racing. But I think I'd be able to do it in time. But at this stage, I think WA is home at the moment. But you never say never to what will happen in the future. We'll just see where the future takes us. I'll keep chipping away, and as far as you take your drive serious. Well, that's how I make my money. So I need to be winning. Just getting the drive isn't enough. I need to win. That's how you get ahead.
Is that a juggle for you? Like you're a freelance reinsman. I mean, you drive track work for Ross Oliveri, but that's effectively all you take your own wage when you drive track work. So, is that one of the I suppose pluses and minuses for you over there at the minute, that you are freelance, you're not tied to any stables, but that's also one of the worries?
Yeah, to a point, but I get a lot of drive. I go around a hell of a lot. The numbers are there. Obviously, sometimes you miss out on an extreme quality, but we get paid well over here. I mean, I can't whinge about. We're $70 a drive, 5% of first to fifth. That's good going, I think. And if you put your bum down and head up and drive as much as you can, you get 20 drives a week at $70 a pop. You can cover bills out of that, and then you try and get your three to six winners a week is good wages. Not putting your eggs in one basket, I think, is also good. But I find it was a tough balance earlier in trying to keep all your trainers happy, your regulars happy, trying to track new drives, and also try and drive the best horse in the race. Obviously, you get politics involved that you may have to forego one winner in this race to drive a horse for someone else, because next week you'll drive three of theirs that'll win. You know what I mean? So it's a balancing act, and I'll tell you, where's the toll? It has worn a toll on me over the years trying to keep everyone happy. I've had a couple battles with it all. Don't get me wrong, it's got to me, and personally, and this year I've sort of the last 3-4 months I've got on top of it all, and I'm a lot happier, right? Not so angry.
Is that mental? Like when you say it's got to you, like so mental?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely mental. Like, things get a bit overwhelming at times, and a bit of stress and worry, and because it is so volatile, I suppose that's why I like the fighting and stuff. It's sort of
get hit by a 14-year-old. Get hit by a 14-year-old.
Well, that's not so good. Don't recommend it. Yeah.
but
don't recommend it.
But back to that mental side of things, because I'm big on that.
Yeah.
Like my out is running. Like I'll go running, and people think you're an idiot if they don't understand. I probably think you're an idiot jumping in the ring with anyone, let alone a 14-year-old girl that can kick and bust your nose that quickly.
I know.
But that is one of the tricks with harness racing with a lot of people. I mean, I've got Maryborough going over your shoulder there. Like it's wall-to-wall racing over here. You guys get a few days break, which is possibly better, but it probably has its downside as well. So you don't have as many days that you can earn a quid as well. So you've got that.
Well, that's right.
Yeah,
you're dead right, mate. Like I think it's good over here. We got a good system in WA. I'm content with it. Like I like going to the gym and stuff. Like I find it's good antidepressant. I like that, and it's good for me. So I do that 4 days a week, and I'll go there after we do this interview before I go to the pub.
If I keep talking for an hour, you won't be there at 1:30. You know that, don't you? And I'm a chance.
Oh, that's all right. I'll probably just have a late lunch, and then I'll be right. I'll tip through, have a sleep in the morning.
Get up, tell Ross you're late, tell him to get the golf clubs out, and you'll be fine. It won't matter. Was it easy? Like, did you sort someone out to help you with your your issues. And when I say issues, you've got to be careful saying it because people say, oh, what's he going, a complete nut? But no, or you're looking over your shoulder. Obviously, your wife's over your shoulder and keeping...
Yeah, she's what are you eating over there? Lollies. Don't eat too many of them, you'll get sick.
But did you have to sort someone out, or did you just take a step back yourself and just sort of work out what was going on?
Yeah, it's a bit. I had to have some time off earlier, earlier. When was it after that I had that time off? A couple of months, about whatever it was. I had about 3 weeks off and that. And, I was crook at the time, but it was actually just burnt out mentally. And I mean, I didn't agree with what the doctors were saying to me and stuff. I really didn't believe it because I just didn't believe it. And so anyway, I did what they said and everything, and took all the stupid pills they said to me, and yeah, I couldn't believe it within 3 days how much better I felt, and less angry I was, and stuff, and yeah, I don't know, just don't stress as much and worry, like, just, I don't know, it was just better. I feel better, and so that's been going on now for 4 months, 5 months, or whatever, and yeah. Things are going good. We're having a great season and, ticking along the winners. So life's good.
Mate, talking tactics, you didn't think you were going to be opening up about that on the phone today, did you, in front of everyone?
Not really. But I'm not ashamed, man. I don't really regret anything I've ever done or things I do. I'm not like that. I don't like to start talking about love and shit. Like, I'm not that type of person. I'm going to tell you I love you, but...
Mate,
you know what I mean?
They'll start talking. If you say you love me and I say I love you back, I mean, mate, what are they going to say?
I know.
You know, like the guys on...
It's just, you know what I mean? I don't really like talking about all that kind of stuff, so maybe that was a problem with it all. I don't know. Then I had a good mate of mine kill himself and stuff earlier in the year, and I had a lot of stuff behind the scenes going on, and maybe it just got to me. Who knows? But I'm good.
One recommendation...
Didn't stop me driving winners anyway.
But that's one recommendation I would say, that if any young blokes or people in the industry are thinking about this, just they're not on their own, basically, is what you're more or less saying, isn't it? Because there are definitely other people that have, similar issues going around.
Yeah, well, I saw, it's definitely, there's plenty of guys. I mean, it's just how you handle it or how you react to the problems, I think. And sometimes, you just don't react like, I don't know, someone else. So it's just, you need to be put back on the right course, I think. And no matter how, I don't know, I'm lucky I had good support around me, like, I think, and they were, they just, I don't know, just weird. Like, you don't see your behaviour until some people you love or care about say, hey, something's not right here.
That much I can totally agree with, mate, because if anyone knows me, I don't drink anymore because I'm silly enough as it is and just drink the water and and it is all good. Everyone would be treated to this for it to be just laughable, not knowing where it would end up. You've got all serious on us, Voaky. I tell you, people are going to look at you in a different light now,
Yeah, I'm trying to change up my image.
Paint the sulky.
I got a spray last night off a junior driver. No joke.
Oh, you nearly forgot too. Oh, you've got another career, haven't you?
What?
You've got another career coming up too, haven't you? Clerk of the course.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Jesus, I leant over and smashed my knee on the side of the cart. I'll be doing that again. Got a wicked bruise, eh?
I got the photo up that Jodie Hollows took and put on social.
Yeah.
I sent her a message to see if I was allowed to use it. She hasn't got back to me, so thanks, Jode. I'll just say that. Well done.
Jodie sponsors me. We got the tick of approval. Thanks, Jodie.
Very good. Well, she's done a great job, and it's an awesome photo, and that's another reason to go to Rawa and just check out those photos. But yeah, you can do anything. There's nothing the Voak train can't do, mate.
Yeah, like I'm useless at cricket though. Cricket. I was hopeless at batting and hopeless at bowling. I was good at fielding. The only thing you don't want to be good at cricket.
And then they put you out in the outfield, and you got to stand out there by yourself.
Yeah, what a shit game that is.
It is a very overrated game, especially for a bloke that's prepared to go around in a pink sulky. I don't think it's really up his alley.
Yeah, so I can't really do everything. Yeah, definitely can't do everything.
No, that's very good. Chris Voak, thank you very much. I don't reckon this will be our last chat, Samuel, mate. I've enjoyed this, and I reckon you've opened up a few people to a different side to see Voak, not just the bloke that a lot of us know. As what you say, Grant taught me everything I know, or something like that. That's how it started off initially.
Yeah, that's right.
We even left Granny out of it.
I can actually see a lot of Grant in you, so he has influenced you, definitely, hasn't he?
If you're talking about appearance, he's going to hate you. You know that, don't you?
This has turned. I don't know how this went from an interview to a bloody therapy session. How have you done that? I've taken this What is your podcast to a new level? This is a turning point in your career.
I think
could be.
I think so. It's going to go from talking tactics to Dr. Paul.
Yeah.
Sit down with Dr. Paul. And, Vokey, you'll be able to mark my success. If you see a rush of pink sulkies going around, you can say Campbell's winning. They're all driving in pink sulkies now, all right?
Well, actually, I had something better. Won the Trotters Cup when the last time. This is just a side note story to go. It was one of the best Friday nights I've ever had, right? There was this bunch of good-looking tarts on the fence that night. Like,
you've cut out. Vokey.
Oh, yeah, it did too. Did you get my story?
No, completely dropped out.
You didn't hear it?
No.
Oh, okay. So these tarts were on the side of near the Stewards Tower, like where the winning post is across the park on the spectators. They were all pretty pissed all night or whatever they were doing. And so I won the Trotters Cup on it getting colder, and I'm coming off the track. One of these birds yelled out to me and flashed her boots. And they were the good type of boots, the ones you want to get flashed, not bad ones. And so I was like, holy, yeah, I've never had that happen before. So I go off the track, and a good owner, and she's a good supporter of mine, she goes, do you know those girls on the side of the track? And obviously my missus didn't see it. And I said, what are you talking about? She goes, I saw what that girl did. And I said, well, they're not Ash's friends, and she didn't see it, so don't tell her. He's now giving it up. How's that for a story? Anyone ever had boobs flashed to them on a racetrack?
We'll find out, mate. People will give it back to me in the comments.
Yeah, that's fair dinkum. And I had someone else saw it, so it wasn't a made-up story. And good ones too, not bad ones.
Chrissy Voak, thank you very much, mate. I could see us having another... Well, we better have another Sunday session one day very shortly, mate. I'll let you go to the gym, the pub.
Deal.
And enjoy yourself. But thanks very much for your time, mate. Thanks for a bit of insight into that protest as well. And
yeah, no worries.
If Rawa are still watching this, they might be hiding under a table after the boob part. But if they are actually still watching it, well done to what they're doing. I think it's great. I think their coverage is sensational, mate. All the coverage we can get for harness racing, the better, I think. So, yeah, well done.
Definitely, 100%. Good work. Keep it up.
Thanks, Vokey.
See you, mate.